Burning Witches are a relatively new heavy metal band from Switzerland, at least at first, and who are about to release their fourth album, The Witch of the North, through Nuclear Blast.
Yeah.
Laura Guldemond is the singer of Burning Witches, and she joins me via Skype. Laura, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today. First of all, how are you doing? I know that it has been a really complex year for musicians and also for people. I know that here in the Netherlands, we are out of the curfew of the Avon clock for just a couple of days. So how has it been for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird year, of course, because we expected all to tour a lot with the previous album, but now we actually released another album, and because I actually still have way more time than I would usually have, I started doing things like doing my own nails, gardening, and I'm just finishing. That's why it's so late today. Because normally I would do the interviews a bit earlier, but I just finished like a songwriting boot camp that I attended. So those kind of things are happening now. So that's fun. It's just you kind of, at least I look for different things to do because of it. Yeah.
Well, that's great. And since you mentioned the songwriting boot camp, I know that you started singing in a bit of a different way than most metal singers. You started in church, in a church choir with your evangelical parents, if I'm not mistaken. So,
actually, it wasn't. I wasn't not really in the choir, but I did live in the Bible Belt in the Netherlands. So when I was like 4 years old, I went into the village choir with all the kids, and there was a guy playing piano, and and then you had to sing higher or louder, and he was like this, and then everyone went a bit louder. It's this kind of stuff. That's my first experience. Singing outside of school and the home, but I did sing in church because it was this kind of church with they always had music, but yeah.
Yeah, evangelical bands are known for that. I remember the first time I saw an evangelical church, I was surprised to see the drum kit and the electric guitars and everything. So
yeah, so
they have all of that.
Somewhere. Actually, I didn't sing in the choir there, but I did. I did sing along in the crowd. Yeah.
And what brought you to heavy metal and away from Christ?
Yeah, actually, I guess the thing that brought me away from Christ, I'm just a bit too down to earth for it, I guess, to be very religious. But what brought me to metal is just, I just love the guitar music that's a bit more heavy, and, it gives me so much energy, and it's almost like the same reaction I have to an action movie. So for people that don't understand metal, don't really like it, I try to make them understand sometimes why, the feeling, the excitement that you get from this kind of a movie, that's what metal does for me. It kind of, it works for me. So I like that feeling. And to be honest, when I'm not in the mood, I listen the most, I do listen the most to metal, but if I'm not in the mood, I kind of also sometimes listen to, singer-songwriters that do very chill stuff, but yeah, that's the reason I like metal most, I guess. Yeah, it's just in your faceness.
And you mentioned that you lived in the Bible Belt here in the Netherlands, and my experience with the Bible Belt is I lived fairly close for a little bit of period of time, and I've read quite a bit about the situations that we have there. I think that for people abroad, they're not really aware that we even have a Bible Belt. So being a heavy metal fan as you were growing up in that sort of environment, was that a challenge for you?
Well, it was because my parents really hated it. So, they appreciated music, but as soon as it got, especially metal, it's a bit darker, and they were just really against occultism, dark stuff, everything that could be a bad influence on me, and etc. So they were pretty protective, and my mom especially was super protective. And in a way, she's been a pretty good mom because of it, but it was a bit too much, to be honest, if you ask me. So at some point, I had to hide my records. I would love certain records, like at some point, please don't see this as my main influence or something, but at that moment, during my puberty, I was listening to the Murder Dolls at some point, and I still appreciate it, but it's just not really what I would want to do now anyway. But I loved it. I was listening to it a few times a week, I guess, in that period. And so I sometimes had to hide it because my parents would come in when they thought, hey, there's this zombie band again. No, we just said she couldn't listen to that. But it was, of course, also the era in which you could copy CDs. So what I would do is I would copy a CD. So I had the CD, and then just in case my parents would come in, I had another CD because they would actually check if I burned something on the CD. So I actually had CDs lying around having something burned on them, so they would take the wrong CD out. So this was the situation. It was really, annoying, for someone that was so much into metal. So, yeah.
You mentioned the Murder Girls as a band that you were into, in your teenage years. But I know that you also started, like I think many Dutch fans in the Netherlands, with Within Temptation, right? That was one of the first things that kind of got you. So is that one of the things that you were trying to start singing, for example, at the beginning? That is kind of the style, or you imagined that you were gonna move always to this kind of 80s? Rob Halford influenced.
Actually, it was kind of a really long development getting there, because in the beginning I was just like, oh, I just love this music and I listened to it. I wanted to sing along, but I was not good at it because the high stuff, now I can do it, but my voice would break. I didn't know how to get into the head voice properly. So, I didn't really know how to do anything properly, to be honest, in the beginning. So it was just trying a lot, trying out a lot. And then at some point I discovered, for example, it was actually easier for my voice to do, for example, the Final Countdown from Europe. So I shouted along that song until the neighbors actually started to sing along with me. So, so anyway, it was just the start of things, and it kind of developed. So let me tell a bit, I was interested in a lot of metal, and indeed Within Temptation was the first one because it was on the radio. It got me into it. I went to the record store and I looked through all the, the pictures and stuff. And like, you kind of also watch the covers, right? So I already knew that I needed this kind of darker looking stuff is what I really liked. But at the same time, melodic. But then again, I'm not sure if there were actually any, like a lot of death metal bands in there. It was like the free record shop back in the day. So it was kind of like, a normal music shop. But there was metal in there. So Metallica was there. Actually, I found Wasp. Iron Maiden was there. Aina, I found a really cool album. Aina was an album from Sasha Peth, if I say
it. With Toby Summit, it's a fantastic power metal album, really good stuff.
Yeah, so that's my favorite metal opera because I just love the booklet and everything. And I think I got that even it's sometimes there are things in the record shop I didn't actually expect because simply it wasn't on the radio, but it was at least in the record shop. So I just could listen to it there, and I took home whatever I liked, and as far as I got pocket money to spend on it from my grandmother, who was also super religious, probably didn't really want me to buy these kind of things, but okay. She was very sweet, and she just let me free in whatever I got anyway in the end. So I guess I also have to thank my grandmother. So the question was, how did I get to the point where
the question in that case had to do with you, as a Dutch metal fan starting off with Within Temptation, and what I wanted to connect that with was that's from a time in which certainly there were already bands. There were Doro Pez was already singing, Susie Quattro and many other female musicians were already shining from before, but certainly Within Temptation, Nightwish, Arch Enemy come from a generation in which female musicians start to become more visible, right? Is that one of the reasons why perhaps you were attracted to Within Temptation? Because for many girls of our generation, we're both in our 30s, it was important to find a girl, right, that was also singing, that to see that it wasn't just like a guy's stuff.
It could be. I'm not really sure. I mean, to be honest, it was the very first metal band, and it's even the softer, side of metal, but it was the very first one I came into contact with, and I immediately wanted to sing because I just love the music so much, and it's so, it's just, I don't know, it's just very good songwriting, I guess. Mm-hmm. So it I just felt like singing along, and I had the same with Wasp, but that was my second band that I got totally into, totally, different and more like, the other side, more to what I'm doing now. But And I kind of had the same problem. I couldn't sing it. It's so enormously raw, the voice, I couldn't. Now I kind of can if I focus on it, but everything got easier because I gradually got into, getting to know my voice more. And since Burning Witches, I'm so focused on the distorted stuff that I got very good at it.
No, you absolutely did. I was listening today to what is the song I have it, Tainted Ritual, for example, and it starts with your voice like really rough, really it either like Halford in Resurrection or something that Ricky Rollins would have done. So you clearly have created that ability in your throat, in your voice rather, to create that raspy.
Yeah, and so maybe you're a little bit right about, female voices also inspiring me, because I actually, the first time I tried those metal screams were actually after I heard Battle Beast. So because I loved that, she did these metal screams and I loved her voice and I just loved their songs also. I kind of think, Anton Cabana is just one of the best songwriters ever also. So now I'm totally into Beast in Black. So basically I got inspired by that also. And then, of course, I already knew Judas Priest, but for some reason, the song Black Ninja from Battle Beast.
Battle Beast, yeah.
really, really got me into trying this out because it's just, it's a and then it's quiet, and then she's a black ninja. It's just nice.
She is an amazing singer. She really has also that very raspy quality, and as you say, Cabanan. One of the great things that he did is that he had that ability to kind of mix power metal with that kind of Swedish pop music, so kind of the ABBA style. And they really make it's really great stuff. It's super cheesy, but I like it.
Yeah, but cheese and a good cheese. It's perfect, really good quality cheese. So
and Dutch people know about cheese, so it's fantastic. Now, speaking about singing, I know that your first audition with Burning Witches, you've described it as being shit. So, why was it so bad?
Because I seriously was just at the point in my life where I kind of was like, you know what? It's difficult to get to the point where I'm happy at being a musician, trying to get further. And I felt like it, I should maybe, take the responsible decision and find a 40-hour job and stuff like that. Because I was really into sales at that moment and I did recruitment. So I was like, you know what, I might try to be a recruiter for, IT guys or whatever. I was kind of like really, really playing with that idea because I kind of like helping people and stuff like that. And I felt like I was good at sales and whatever. It's just the easier road, I guess, and the safer road to a pensionated life somewhere in the future, stuff like that. So basically, I was ruining my voice because I was in a sales team and they were going out every night and we were drinking every night and I was screaming to people when I was drunk after the working day, stuff like that. So my voice was ruined. I didn't practice at that moment. So they asked me. At the moment, I kind of knew I could do it, but I totally had to get my voice back to the point where it was good. So that was scary. And when I did the audition, it was also my first time since a long time that I went into the rehearsal room. So there's lots of noise around you. You have to sing with all this noise around you, being super, super nervous. And because of the nervousness, there was so much tension here that actually something happened here within my ears. Don't ask me how, but it kind of blocked the sound. Normally, when you sing, I'm actually happy to sing without monitoring even because I can hear myself, inside my head when I have the earplugs in. But that ability was just gone also. So I totally ruined my voice during the audition. And the second time I came around to them, they also said, you know what, let's try how much your voice can take. So we basically did an extra set list just to check how much they could push my voice because the festivals were coming. and it got better and better. And, just before the festival, I think I was, the quality was good enough. And I just went into a rehearsal room that I rented for 2 hours. I went into that rehearsal room like once every 2 days, and I did the set list 2 hours after each other, and then I had a day of rest. And yeah, that was the cheapest way to rent a room. Like I didn't have to do it every day, and then I made the most out of my time, and that's how I prepared in just a few weeks. So I was very happy that it got up to the quality it needed to be before I was on Sweden Rock Festival.
I know that this isn't the first time that you perform live, because you had performed with your previous band before, but this is certainly the biggest that you had ever played up until that point. So that must have been a bit of a scary situation for anybody.
It was totally... I mean, that's why I prepared so crazy good, and I try to visualize being on a really big stage because, especially exactly. I was in a smaller band before, so we only had been 1 or 2 times on a big stage, so you have to kind of, I seriously rented a big room for this. Actually, luckily there was always space even, but it was the one dance room they had, so it was a very big room with mirrors on the wall, and so I actually rehearsed in a dance room. Usually where people would rent it for literally just dancing, and that's what I used to kind of also look at myself, what I was doing on stage, because you wanted to come over like you're used to it, you know what I mean? So yeah, I kind of it did make I did put in the work for it to feel also prepared enough to go on that stage, because I'm not a session musician, to be honest. I like to take my time. I don't like to be stressed out, but I knew this was my chance and I had to take it.
I know that when you recorded Dance with the Devil, you had to record that at home. I think that you were kind of sending the files back and forth with the band. Did you have to do the same thing now?
Yeah. So the recordings were done actually in the studio, in Little Creek Studios in Switzerland, where everyone else recorded. But I did demos at home, and at that moment, what I did do, because I was kind of working serious towards stuff with my band I had at that moment. With Shadowrise at the time, so I was very serious about actually recording for Shadowrise at home. So I just bought a vocal booth, and when I needed to write for I could rehearse only. The vocal booth didn't come early enough for rehearsing for the first gigs, by the way. So that's why I still rented the room, and I'm glad I did it because of the space. So you can, pretend you're on a stage that's big. But after that, the vocal booth came, and it was really nice because when I get home from work sometimes, the sales company I did, it was sometimes really late, and I kind of like to just relax after that and then start writing. It was in the middle of the night, and I could just go into the vocal booth, and I was living in how do you say this in English? I was just sharing a house with other people, so I had one room.
Yeah, you had a roommate or a housemate, yeah.
So exactly, so kind of the student life, but I wasn't really a student anymore, but I was like, it's easy because it saves me money and I don't really need anything bigger, blah, blah, blah. So it kind of made it easier to be flexible. And I could just go into that, little box because it was 1 by 1 meter in my room of 4.5 by 4.5 or something. So this
typical
was
Dutch room. Yeah.
So that was it. So there was like a desk and a bed and a closet and some, it was very compact, but there was also a vocal booth in there, and I could use it whenever I want. So that was perfect. So I could write the songs easily because I could do that always in my own room. Yeah.
And now for Witch of the North, what was the input that you had as far as the songwriting went? Did you write some of the lyrics as well, or what was your participation?
Well, it's kind of the same as with Dance with the Devil, and nothing really changed for me because we did it kind of the same way. The only different thing is, there was maybe a little bit of a different thing that this time we chose a theme before we started to write most of the songs. So this
but what I mean is the writing was then done together. So all of you kind of wrote the music together, or Ramona did the music and you did the lyrics. How did that part work?
Romana wrote the music. Also, you know, she writes the music, she composes the songs, and then you know, when she got something and it can be a verse and a chorus, or maybe it's, you know, a longer part of the song. It can be maybe recorded together with the band, so without me because I'm in the Netherlands, but with everyone in the rehearsing room, or maybe she recorded it with Larissa, so there are only 2 guitars, and you know, it changes every time, but sometimes it's just acoustic guitar. So basically, whatever is there, I get it, and then I start to write, and I try to, I just listen first, of course, what's the vibe, and Romana is very good at putting a vibe down, so I know what to do with my vocals. You know, it's giving me a direction to think of. So that's, you know, I can listen to it. I think of whatever theme fits or whatever inspiration I have at that time. And usually I have a whole list. You know, before I know I have to write an album, I kind of try to write lists with words that could be song titles that I like. You know, so I don't have too much trouble starting to write for a song I just heard for the first time, so I can listen to it and then think, what does it, what fits, you know what I mean?
And so where are you getting those? I'm sorry to interrupt you, of course. Where are you getting those ideas from? The themes that you like to cover in your songs? I know that apparently you're a little bit into sci-fi and movies as well. That you have some even musical interest in that regard. But I know that Burning Witches tends to be more about kind of occultism and witchcraft and kind of hammer movies kind of stuff.
Yes, so, I seriously called up a friend of me a few times just you know, for this purpose, because I know he is into occultism, witchcraft, tarot, and everything. You know what I mean? He's really totally into the spiritual
bullshit
void of, you know, everything. Yeah. So I mean, it's pretty funny because he actually gave me a tarot deck he didn't use himself, and he said, yeah, just give me a tarot reading. I think you're actually good at it. And actually it could kind of, you know, when I did it with him, I actually did a good reading. So it's kind of, you know, it's kind of creepy almost that it actually works a lot of times. But okay, besides of that, you know, let's here my down-to-earthness comes back in. I think, yeah, okay, but yeah, until I'm super convinced, let's just leave it. But it's fun, you know, and it's another way of meditation almost. Yeah. So, but for, you know, Dance with the Devil, I actually like talked a lot to this friend of mine. And you know, whenever sometimes you watch a movie and you come across something you really like, then you can write it down. You know what I mean? It's like a songwriter thing. You know, you kind of have to grab the inspiration around you when it comes along. You know what I mean? You kind of have to be aware of it. So what I also like to do is sometimes just Google stuff, because it kind of, you know, sometimes you just miss the information to get inspiration. So I kind of, you know, used Google also, and I also did that for this album. And yeah, Romana she was writing music, and it kind of sounded like I'm on a Mars. So she was like, ooh, Witch of the North. And then, you know, that's when I come into the picture, they say, hey, Laura, Witch of the North, write a song about it. And basically this was the only first few things they said. So I was like, okay. So what do you want me to do? You know, because that's kind of vague, right? But it kind of turned into a whole theme for the album. Because we were thinking, yeah, maybe druids and, you know, this mystical stuff that's happening around the north. You know what I mean? Like the ice and the cold and the hard way of life, and you know, just you can kind of picture it. You know what I mean? And that's kind of cool. So this was the start of the theme, and then I kind of looked into also the Norse mythology, because I think it's a super interesting stories that are in there. You know, if you just look at the information out there, it actually can come across as a bit boring, but you can. Yeah, I also knew there are a lot of movies out there that are super good at telling these stories in a very cool way. I was like, you know what? Let's just see what there is, and if there is a Witch of the North, and what I can do with all these mythologies and this setting of cold and Nordish winters and stuff like that, you know? So this is kind of how it started. And then all the puzzle pieces fell together because actually there is a witch of the north, and most people call her Freak, a goddess Freak that would give the ability to look into the future. But some people thought it was the same person as Freya. And that's the cool thing, because Freya is also the goddess of love and war. And that's super metal. So that's what
excellent.
So yeah.
Hey, I know that on top, you've said that right now you are very well established, or you're still trying to get your footing maybe with Burning Witches, but that eventually you do want to create something independently, mixing this idea of movie scores and sci-fi music and modern metal. I know that it's just a project far off in the future, but can you tell me about it?
Yes, yeah. I mean, I won't have time for it until Burning Witches takes a big break, basically. Because it would mean I have to be an artist of another project, because when I do something like that, I would want to, be really, really focused on it also. So it's not really something you can easily combine. I'm not even really put myself into any restrictions there. I just want to explore the idea, and I do want to make, normal, listenable music, maybe actually something along the line of the album we did, Witch of the North. It has a theme, and I love that. And I kind of want to get a theme across also, so you're like totally in the vibe the whole album. And I really love that. Like, one of my favorite albums, for example, is the early albums that Elevatie made, because it's also really draws you into this atmospheric situation. I just love that. So I would want to do something like that, but a little bit more. I mean, there is a lot of music in metal, that uses the symphonic, symphonics. So basically the Hans Zimmer cinematics. But I would want to combine it with also the more electronic stuff. So I don't really want to restrain myself already, because I think I'm just. Like this, that's why it's also for the future. I'm just developing myself also, and this is also why I do the singer-songwriter course. And the time will come. You know what I mean? But
it's more because I think it's really nice to see that as you are developing as a singer, you also want to continue expanding on different directions. So that's really amazing.
I figured this is also the reason why I want to do the singer-songwriting stuff. You can kind of write for other people. I mean, I hope I can, I'm kind of learning, because I'm always just doing the lyrics and the melodies on top of something that's already there. And I know there are also, a lot of, it's called top lining basically in the, I would say singer-songwriter world. But so that happens a lot also for other people. And it's something I could easier do, without being to the artist. So I could just do it besides something without too many obligations. And that's really nice, right? So I'll just do that, I think, for now. And I have my Patreon, of course. I have too many things going on, and this is what I want to focus on now. And I just love to get a better singer-songwriter, because basically that will help me to get a better, amazing songs with Burning Witches too. So this is
I mean, I think that even just comparing your first band, I was listening to it today, but you have to forgive me, I forgot the name.
Maybe.
That's the one, yes. Yeah. I've heard some songs on YouTube today, then I listened to your first album with Burning Witches that I heard the new one. It's very obvious that you are developing tremendously as a singer. Also, the production is getting better, so it's really helping you shine as an artist, and I think that it's fantastic, and there's no doubt that it's going to get only better. I only have one more question, since I think that you've given me plenty of your time, and it's super fucking late today. It is, do you still have a bunch of geckos?
I do. I really love the creatures. They're fun. They're super cute. They have a lot of colors. They're leopard geckos for someone that thinks geckos. Like, normally they're the ones that stick to the wall, but the leopard geckos are actually desert animals, and they have nails. So they're kind of special kind of gecko, and they have a very thick tail. Because it's for the desert, right? So they have water in their food in their tail. So it's a kind of fun creature, and they're easy to keep also because of that, I guess.
Do you have a gecko with you right now?
I can get one for you. Yeah, this one is Jabba, and Jabba the Second. Yeah, I kind of have to think of a better name. This is actually one of the first. Okay, wait, I'll put this one down. Oh dear, I have to. I don't know where to keep them. They're a little bit. I don't take these out so much because I have a lot of them because they're babies actually. So these were one of my first babies that I got, and they're now grown ups. So that's cool. And
that's great, Laura. Thank you so much. Really, I really appreciate it. They're really wonderful creatures. I have never seen one here in the Netherlands for sure.
Yeah, they're just cool, right? With the colors, and this one's they're giants, so they're a bit bigger than normal, and that's cool. And yeah, the eyes are different. They're amazing. Anyway, I love them, but I will put them back right now. Okay?
No. So that's what I mean. So thank you so much for all of your time. It has been a really fantastic pleasure to meet you. Thank you so much. Take care of yourself, okay?